I'm Gwendolyn Sterk of Sterk Family Law, and I'm privileged today to have two of my colleagues with me. I have Helen Morgan from Resource 55, along with Joan who's an attorney at Sterk Family Law. So to get started, Helen, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hi, Gwen. Let me just say hi. Hi, Joan. I am a certified senior housing professional and senior real estate specialist. I am the CEO and founder of Resource 55 at America's Finest Real Estate. And I'm specializing in sales and services for seniors on the move and, just taking care of business.
Well, that's great. And Joan, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at our firm.
Sure. My name's Joan. I'm one of the associates at Sterk Family Law. I have a concentration in senior divorces for people over, let's say, 50-ish. Also a concentration in elder law. I like to think about the family sandwich and how people who are middle-aged are trying to take care of the upper people, the elder people, and the lower people, and the younger people and themselves. And I like to think of them as being pretty overwhelmed and needing help from Sterk Family Law.
That's great. Today we're going to talk about how this pandemic has really changed the landscape and maybe the paradigm of what we do or what we mean in terms of senior living. So Helen, I wanted to start with you with a question. Can you tell us just in general, to learn from this, what type of senior living options are there available?
Okay, I think, Gwen, just to be clear, with the media now, we hear a lot about nursing homes, right? So I just wanted to really define the different types of senior living. And, senior living can be an independent living situation, an assisted living situation, along with, there are some memory care living situations. These are communities. These are communities that people choose to go to, along with continuum care communities, which people would start out independently. And then we have our 55 plus communities, where people live in individual residential homes or townhomes and apartment living for seniors. So as you can see, there are many types of living available for seniors. And, right now we're hearing so much with the COVID-19 about everything. It seems like everything senior is nursing homes, and that's not the case.
Got it. Well, in addition to that, I also think that there are, the granny facilities that where sometimes people add a location on their own property, or we relocate the elder and they're able to go into a home that may be accommodated, or there's also an option to accommodate their own home or to live with other family members. So there's a lot of different types, I think, is the message that Helen's trying to reach out to us. So Joan, my question to you is, will the pandemic affect how families view the senior living facilities? What do you think about that?
Oh, yes. The entire senior service industry has been dealt a setback. Nursing homes have suffered greatly. Public health policy is why that is happening. We know that elders are at higher risk for getting coronavirus because many elders have chronic medical conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, kidney disease, respiratory illness. These underlying conditions raise their susceptibility to the virus, any virus really. Recently, there have been many deaths in nursing homes. You may be concerned that your elder is now at even greater risk of getting coronavirus. Your fears are well-founded. The factors that increase risk at nursing homes are test shortages, personal protective equipment shortages, staff shortages, sharing of rooms, physical contact with staff and other elders, transfers of elders between the nursing home and the hospital back to the nursing home. So we know that the risk of getting coronavirus is greater at the nursing home, but it's difficult to accept that the best practices require that the nursing home respond to the risk by doing the following. Limit your visits. Yes, that means you can't go to visit your elder. No communal dining, no group activities, balcony bingo. Restrict each elder to their rooms. Refuse to transfer your elder during this crisis. Your elder may not even be allowed to leave the nursing home. Maybe you're thinking about taking
Go, yeah.
Yeah. And shocking to a lot of people. Maybe they were thinking about taking their elder out of the nursing home and caring for them in their own home. That sort of nuclear family with all the members sharing one community, from the babies to the elders, is still practiced in many more agrarian societies where the adult children, that's us, are expected to care for their elders until death. But is that even possible now? Is that even allowed by the policy of your nursing home? What is the policy of your nursing home? And what is our new law regarding coronavirus?
And a lot of questions there and a lot of difficult decisions. So turning back to you, Helen, how do you see COVID-19 affecting the future of senior living, especially as being a senior housing specialist?
Well, I think, many of the things that that Joan mentioned, I mean, the senior communities are definitely, have had to pivot just like the rest of us. I mean, it has been quite an awakening for all of us. And that goes without saying. We just heard everything and all of the issues that anyone that works or lives in a senior community is facing. So, what I find is that many of my clients right now, they're off work. They have mom, dad, grandma, whatever it be, at home with them, and they're finding that it is much more difficult than they ever imagined, to care for them.
Sure.
And they're afraid about what's going to happen when I go back to work. Now, how do I deal with this? And, how do I make sure mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma is taken care of? And so they're still, and I've had many calls with, my senior community representatives and colleagues that have talked about this. They're still getting a lot of calls, especially if there's a little bit of need for assistance, with mom or dad. They're not able to dress themselves, or they need help, need medications, things like that. So, the senior community and the assisted, it's still going to be very, very much a demand, I believe, and that is my opinion, of course, in talking with people that work, the colleagues that work in these communities. They're still getting a lot of calls. I'm seeing a lot of my own seniors that, have moved to communities that seem to be really happy now that they do not have so much fear. In the beginning, there was so much fear, and we all know that we cannot come from a place of fear and make a rational decision. I know that some communities are letting their residents leave, and they can go and live with their loved ones, during this time. But as you said before, Gwen, when is this going to be over? When can they go back to what they call their home? Because
some of them are permitted to leave as well, so it's all interesting, really on a case-by-case basis. It's a very interesting problem, and it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for all of us. Yes. Turning back to Joan, can you tell us, now you got a family situation, you're out there, you have a senior, you have to start dealing with this. What documents overall, Joan, would you say to somebody they really need to start looking at?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because an attorney with a concentration in elder law will assist with decisions and prepare the legal documents that should be in place, as well as decisions regarding financial and health care. As your health declines, as your elders' health declines. The landscape of elder law is changing. Our population is aging. More and more seniors are planning for a longer and longer future period of unemployment and increasing disability. Litigation is becoming more prevalent due to older adults and their families being more educated and current with trends and policies. As more older adults turn to Medicaid to meet the cost of long-term care, families are requesting assistance from attorneys on denied applications, penalty periods, spend down requirements. The elder law attorney provides help in the Medicaid appeal process and advocates for long-term care residents. The most important part of elder care is making decisions at a time when you can, for a future version of you. This includes signing documents to appoint others to act on your behalf if you can't. Your elder law attorney can help you with Medicaid eligibility, caregivers, nursing homes, disagreements with your spouse, guardianship, special needs planning, Social Security disability, and tax planning for high net worth or Medicaid asset protection. In addition to having a will or a living trust to manage or distribute assets when you die, seniors need to designate an agent to make health and other decisions for them if they no longer can. These legal directives authorize the agent to carry out the senior's healthcare and financial management wishes. Medicaid for community, home-based services, long-term care, it's incredibly complicated, and the rules are obscure. Your elder law attorney knows what the various programs are, what they cover, where you should go to apply, where do you go for appeals, why or why not you may be eligible. Why should you plan now? When planning for your old age, the law enables you to put documents in place now to ensure your intentions and plans are carried out later. What you decide while healthy and well will be honored, even if you no longer have your health or wits about you. Planning puts you in the driver's seat. With a plan in place, you can specify what types of medical treatment you do or don't want, who will help you with banking and financial matters, how your assets will pass at your death, and how you'll pay for healthcare and housing if you need it. In order to make a common sense plan for your future and set forth your personal plan for how you want to turn over legal control of your finances and healthcare, you must act while you are competent to sign on your own behalf.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
Yeah, like now.
Now is the time, right?
You can ensure that your wishes are met even if you can't make your preferences known.
And that's true. You know, contacting an estate planning attorney, dealing with elder care issues, you have to get those forms. And I think sometimes it's easier to procrastinate, and then mom's in the hospital and you can't get in right now and you don't have the appropriate document signed. So I think those are good tips that everybody needs to be taking this time to put business in order.
Certainly we can do this work under a crisis situation, but really we'd rather do it planning ahead.
Sure, absolutely. So Helen, with regard to that then, how should families look at planning for the future in terms of the residence for the senior? What should they do now?
That's absolutely it, Joan. It's all about planning. You know, let's do this while we have the choice. You know, rather than let's plan. You know, do we want to age in place? And if that's the case, you know, then let's make the necessary modifications that we need to make to the home now. You know, let's create a plan for our future. You know, what is that going to look like if at some point we cannot maneuver the stairs? You know, at some point, and it's all about choice. You know, it's all about you being able, as, you know, a senior adult, an aging adult, being able to make the choice. Because let's face it, if you don't make the choice yourself now and make it known exactly what you want, then someone else is going to be making that choice for you. And you may not be real happy. You know, it may not be the choice you would have made. You know, during this, there's just so much happening with the COVID-19, you know, and it all boils down to, you know, let's be the person that takes control of the situation, makes our wishes known, you know, whether it be age in place or aging in the right place. You know, that's what it's all about. You know, let's age in the right place, you know, whether it be staying in your home, making the modifications, like I said, you know, downsizing to a smaller home, you know, maybe a townhouse, you know, maybe it's just too much work, or you're thinking, you know, in 5 years from now, it's really going to be a lot more work than I'm willing to do, you know, or moving to an active senior community, you know, a 55 plus, or as Gwen said earlier, you know, what about like a granny pod? You know, that's what a lot of them are calling it, and I love it. They're really adorable, and if you can do that and be proactive, let's be proactive. You know, in moving a family member and knowing that we don't ever want to go through this again. You know, and we certainly don't want to be moving a family member during a crisis.
That's for sure. And you know, you have these difficult conversations because sometimes it's awkward for the adult children to deal with the elder, or the elder doesn't want to deal with it or face their own situation. There's so many different ways, but there is help out there. You can work with an attorney, you can work with a senior housing specialist such as Helen to go over your options. but planning is the key, and taking this elephant in the room and saying, what is the plan? What are we going to do to move forward? I think is key. So Joan, overall, would you call this a paradigm shift, that this has been a rude awakening?
Yes, yes, it has obviously been. Estate planning is essential, and you need to plan well in advance. It's hard for people my age. You've got siblings, you've got elders, you're trying to focus on your family disputes, family conflicts. There's heartache and pain, not all caused by the virus. The path to peace starts with having the essential conversations with your elders and your family members together. One of the biggest mistakes we adult children make with aging parents is the failure to talk about finances. We don't like to talk about the subjects that are uncomfortable. Maybe our parents feel it's too private. It's not polite to talk about money. No one likes the thought of losing independence, but we must prepare for new challenges. We have to address the issue of how our aging parents are going to manage.
You know, that's the truth. There was recently an article indicating about the different level that the kids even, for various financial circumstances, you've got to prepare. You have to take care of your elders. You have to have a plan. You just can't drop them off and hope to pick them up at the end. That's not acceptable. That's not the way our society is structured. And having those difficult conversations, I think, is in fact very true and very important. So Helen, what lessons would you say to the listener today that this pandemic really is pointing out to all of us?
I think, with the healthcare staff, with the entire staff at these communities, I think they've learned a lot. I think we've all learned a lot about sanitation and the PPE. There's going to be a big shift there, along with, we need to ask the questions. That's so many things. You're signing contracts all the time. We're signing medical documents. We're signing whatever, so many documents for our loved ones. And really, we need to be clear on what it is that we're signing, in a situation like this. I mean, have they ever had anything set up, for a pandemic, and what would happen in a situation like that? I mean, it's really important, I think, to communicate, ask the questions, as you mentioned, Gwen, the tough questions, no matter where it be, but get the documents in order, get them all in line, because we need to create that plan and never work from a place of fear or crisis. And I think most people have learned from this that we don't ever want to be in this situation again. We want to make sure that we have a plan. And the only way you can do that is start the conversation now.
That's true. And I know that everybody might not be on board in your family, but the conversation has to take place. And I've always said the willing horse carries the load in some instances. And I think that's true in family structures as well. And you have to be the one to come out. If you're the child that says mom or dad need to be taken care of, it's time to step forward and step up to the plate and come up with a plan. And you know what? I think the last thing I want to add here in the conversation is the plan you make today needs to be the first step. But sometimes then illnesses progress or situations even change further, and you have to be willing to take that next step. And there is no perfect answer in all of this. Many of you know that you're listening today. I have a 90-year-old mother that I take care of, and all of a sudden we have one of the people assisting us falls and breaks an ankle, and then another situation arises and they can't come in the home. There are ever-changing problems, and it's life too. But Joan and Helen, you've been great today, because the lesson for all of us here is to say the first step needs to be taken. I think that having a law firm as well as a senior housing specialist who can sit down with mom and dad and say, here's our plan, here's our options. If you retrofit your house, you can claim it on taxes here, or this is what it's going to look like, and really look at what's that going to cost to stay in your house, or what is it going to cost to go in a townhome, or what are those hidden costs when you join a facility? It's not just that monthly fee. You have to pay for medicine on top of it. You have to pay for other supplies. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. So rather than look at this pandemic today as a negative, I urge everybody, and the purpose of our conversation today is not to tell you what it is that should happen, not to criticize anybody who's been in that situation and maybe had to learn a lesson, but to say the time is now have those conversations. Reach out to our firm, reach out to Helen, reach out to whatever resources you have so that we can move forward and deal with our seniors in the best possible way we can. Because the thing about life is, it happens. The thing about time is, it passes. And when you're older, guess what? It passes faster than it did before. So our message today as we close is, the time is now. Let's deal with the situation. So thanks, Joan. Thanks, Helen. I think it's a great dialogue to get started, and I think we need to move forward for all of our lives and for all of our families. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.